Hello and welcome to our today's webinar, Actionable User Testing Results in Under 1 Hour. Nice to have you all here and taking part in our webinar. We're still waiting for everyone to join. If you want, in the meanwhile, feel free to say hello in our chat. If you want, post in there where you're located. It's always interesting to know. And yeah, so today's webinar is about from zero to insights, actionable user testing results in under 1 hour. As you all know, conducting a user test can be time consuming. You need knowledge. Okay, I see. Hello, Rebecca from Dallas. Nice to have you here. Yeah, it can be time consuming. You need to be an UX expert or maybe even not. Like what we do here on Userbrain, we have like a bunch of really nice features that even if you're not a UX expert, you can conduct user testing. And this is what we will show you today, how you can do this without having the best user testing UX expert knowledge. But also, as we all know, tasks, writing a good task, which is not leading, can be super time consuming. And yeah, and our features, especially our auto create feature, which we just released, will help you to speed things up a little bit. And I see Tiffany from Texas as well, from San Antonio, and hi Charlotte from Manchester. Nice to have you on board as well. Okay, so what we also do, we will talk about user tests in general, how a user test is actually structured. I'm pretty sure if you're an UX expert, you know that, but we still talk about it. And we will give you a few examples of our new auto-create feature and our other AI features as well. And after that, we also would like to do a live test. Yeah, and in the end, like always, we will have a Q&A session. So feel free, even now, when there are any questions coming up, you have the little questions tab down there, if you see it. It's on the right corner, bottom. And yeah, just put your questions in there. If they come up right now, we will answer them in the end. Yeah, and just in case you have to drop out of the webinar for some reason, don't worry, you will all get a link and an email with a link for the replay so you can view it afterwards again. And yeah, so we're Userbrain. We provide user testing for you, and user testing can be a difficult subject. So we want it to be easy and fast and affordable, of course, as well. And yeah, because it's so important to conduct user testing, to test in early stages, to have a good positive user experience and all of that. And yeah, we will showcase you today how it can be even easier and even faster. So yeah, like our title is saying, from zero to insights, and this is what we will showcase you today. And I'm Paula. I started working at Userbrain about almost a year ago. I'm a product marketing specialist, and I also support in support. And with me, the one and only Stefan, one of the co-founders of Userbrain and head of product. And yeah, so I will turn the mic over to Stefan, and yeah, I'm looking forward to what he will tell us.
So thank you, Paula, and hi to everyone. Also, awesome to see you all joining in the live storm, whatever the tool is called. Sorry, I keep forgetting that. Anyway, so there were a few important things that Paula was talking about, and I guess the most important thing is we said under an hour, so time's ticking kind of. I'm a little bit nervous about this, but anyway, let's see how it goes. And I just wanted to say, like, the most important bit is I can see that there are many people here, obviously, with some experience in the field of user testing, and I think that's awesome. And the idea is that you'll hopefully learn something new, and especially even if you don't learn something new, see some cool things that you can use. Not cool, useful things actually. And the idea is also to really, with Userbrain in general, to make user testing more accessible to everyone inside the company, but everywhere, really. So maybe you'd be the expert in your company, and you see this webinar, and hopefully that's at least a bit of a hope that I have, is that you look at it and you might say, well, that's actually something anyone in our company could use to really get some good insights and to make user testing part of our routine and to finally make it a habit, which is kind of like our goal for the last 10 years since we're working in this on this product, really. So, okay, without further ado, I just start sharing my screen, and I hope I make this work. So I got here on the screen too. Let's do this, and then I have to go here and up, and then hopefully you see the title slide. So just going to say, I don't see anything from the live storm. So if anyone is having a comment or something, which you should obviously just ask, anytime in the meetings or in the webinar, Paula will have a look at this, and she has the right to interrupt me at any time. So I can just, engage with you, and we'll make it as interactive as possible. So again, you've already met Paula. So I'm Stefan, I'm co-founder and head of product at Userbrain. What we cover today, as Paul already mentioned briefly, is at first it's the anatomy of a user test. I'm trying to make this very short. Obviously, it should not become boring or anything. It's just something I need to touch upon to show you how it actually works, how we achieve this big promise actually of giving you these insights that quickly, and how we can automate a lot of this process, which leads me into the second point, which is we're going to give you a demo of our auto create feature. So you can see some examples and how it actually works, and also in the bigger context, because creating a test is only one bit. There's also an analysis part and a sharing part so that people actually get the insights. And then we're going to have an interactive Q&A. Okay, so to start with the anatomy of a user test, basically there's this first obvious part, which is the objective of the user test, which is basically, what do you even want to test? What website, what app or prototype, and what part of the app do you want to test, for example? So that would be the objective. Then there's scenario, tasks, and questions. Again, anyone who's done testing before will be familiar with this. That's basically the test itself, what people will see. Then there's obviously the test participants, and then there's some kind of analysis and also a way, of getting these things that you've learned to other people. And I'm just showing you this very quickly, and I'm already done with the anatomy of a user test, basically, to bottom down on one very, very important thing, at least in my mind and in our mind here at Userbrain, and what we've learned in the last, 10 years at Userbrain and 15, 16 years in the field of UX and usability testing specifically, which is the backbone of any user test is its scenario. So get it right and everything else will follow. And I cannot stress this enough. So if you get the scenario right in a user test, you can get pretty much everything else wrong and it will still work pretty well. And when I say everything else will follow, I mean, if you structure a test and you get a good scenario in place, the tasks, you can just throw them in, the follow-up questions. You might, want to look at them, not having a task where you, use words that are used in the user interface, because then it's not really a test anymore, because it's just a word finding game, or you want to avoid asking leading questions and those sorts of things. So, but that's already kind of like finessing your test. And what I also mean with everything else will follow is if you have a good scenario, your users will follow, the testers will follow, they will just follow along, and the insights will just pop out as a natural consequence of having a good scenario. So what are scenarios? And just very quickly, scenarios are realistic, goal-driven situations that guide your users through your product naturally. And I have this example there of a script because it's like something that we're using for, don't know, also, I guess 10 years whenever we're in university and we're teaching young UX, UI students, user researchers, you know, how we think about all of this. And a scenario in my mind is one of the most important things, not just for user testing, but for design in general. So if you want to design something, if you know, work in this field, you need a good scenario in your mind. So you need, you know, some people are building personas and actually writing their scenarios, and that's, you know, obviously very good. But even if you don't do that, you will have some kind of informal way of thinking about it, which should not be, this is product X, it has feature A and feature B, and that's it, and let's make these features really good. But you actually think about a person. You have an image in your mind, like, who is this person? What kind of goal are they trying to achieve? And then you have a natural story in your mind. And this brings me to you know, just briefly mentioning this image there of the screenplay from the Wizard of Oz, actually. Anyway, it's really, scenarios are to product development or product design equally important as screenplays are to movies. So of course you can just, you know, switch on your camera and, you know, make a movie. And it might even win an independent movie award. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing or whatever, but for really professional production, you first have a screenplay in place. The screenplay better be good, because if the screenplay doesn't work, if the screenplay is not really well written and well thought out, the movie's never going to be great. And the same is true in my mind if you think about great software, great design, product, whatever keyword you're most familiar with, but I think you know what I'm talking about. You need to have the story in your mind, the scenario. What are you trying to achieve? Or who is it who's trying to achieve what? That's really important, even if it's just informal. So that said, scenarios are important in the design and in the testing. And especially for the testing, what they really look like. I'm going to show you a few examples. Like that's I use it as a bad example here. And some of you might look at it and laugh and find it laughable and say like, wow, who's testing like this? That's, you know, not a good way of testing. But it's actually a real, you know, scenario task, whatever you want to call it, then from Userbrain customers, you know, who are reaching out to us and say, well, how can we improve our testing? And so that's sometimes what people actually do if they're not really familiar with it, which is, well, you know, please have a look at our site and tell us how we can improve it to have a better usability. That's obviously not a good scenario. Then there's another example of something that's obviously not really, I don't know, maybe not obvious to everyone, but that's not really good, is where you say, well, we want you to go on our online shop and then you put something in the shopping cart and then you continue to check out. And, you know, something that people who are like, one of my best friends, he's in the testing industry actually, and that's how testing would look like for him, because he's not familiar with user testing. He's doing, you know, more functional testing. So that's how he would do it. And that's also not good because it lacks the scenario. Then there's a positive example I want to show you, which is just, well, imagine you're planning a dinner party. You want to find the perfect wine to pair with your meal and have a budget of $100 in total for 2 to 3 bottles. That's actually a good scenario. It gives you a realistic situation. It gives you an actual goal. Like in this case, you know you're planning this dinner party. You can think about it. And it also gives you, you know, some borders where you say, well, there's a budget of $100, so that's actually important, and that will guide your whole test in this case. And you also give a little bit of freedom where you say, well, there's perfect wine with your meal. So the participants in test can actually, you know, make up their own mind and say, well, what do I want to have for a dinner party? And then, so they can start thinking about it, really, really engaging in the story. And that is the key. You have to get participants engaged in the story. Whoever you're testing with, whether you're doing it with Userbrain and an online pool of people, or whether you meet someone in the streets, you know, and ask them to test it, or whatever you do, you have to have the scenario that really gives them like, well, that's my frame of mind now. That is actually what I want to do. I plan this dinner party. And then, of course, you know, here when you see like $100 for 2 to 3 bottles, again, some kind of restrictions, but there's also some kind of openness to it. Okay, so that was a quick introduction. That was all the theory that I wanted to show you. And I just needed to show you this because most of you will probably be aware of this anyway, but for some, it might be a little bit new. And even if you are aware of it, the key takeaway is, in my mind, is the scenario. That's the most important thing. If you get that right, everything else, you don't really have to worry about it too much. Okay, So now I'm going to show you very quickly how this works in Userbrain. So that's the screen you see when you create a new test. People who are using it already will know, and everyone else, of course, I invite you to later go just on userbrain.com, start a free trial, and try it for your own website. You will see now just how quickly and easily it works. In this case, let's choose a website, and then I just stumbled upon this tool, a while ago. It's World Time Buddy, and I'm using it ever since. And it's just such a good tool. So if you can't take anything away from this meeting, from this webinar, you might be able to take away the World Time Buddy tool. So if you ever need to schedule events with people in different time zones, use this tool. It's the best. Anyway, so for everyone who doesn't know it, that's how it looks like. It's not too exciting or whatever, but it basically lets you compare your own time with different cities, different places in the world, and you can see which time it is there and compare it to yourself. You can see in this case, a free tool. They show you some advertisement and so on. But anyway, just wanted to give you context. So that's an example we're using. And what we do is in Userbrain, once we enter the URL, we just scroll down and we use this new function that we're talking about, which is to auto create with AI. Let AI create your tasks, refine them if needed. Okay, so you go there, and in this case, if you looked at the page earlier, there was a bit of a blurb down there where they were describing what the World Time Buddy is. I just copy and pasted that, and I put it in here because, again, like in this case, we want to make this as simple and easy as possible, so everyone can get started with it, and everyone should be able to give us a bit of a description of what it actually is that they want to test. Like in this case, what is this World Time Buddy tool about? Or in your case, what is your website about? In this case, well, you can see what it is, a time zone converter, and helps you schedule online meetings and blah, 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 blah. It's just their own text. And then I'm just going to show you quickly, if you create tasks, the AI will start creating this. And that's the kind of scenario it actually starts spitting out, which is, imagine you're a business professional who frequently has online meetings with colleagues in different parts of the world. You often struggle to find a suitable time for everyone due to the different time zones. Please explore the site to find out how I can help you schedule meetings across different time zones, explain in your own words how I could assist you in your situation. Remember to think out loud as you're going through this task. So everyone who's familiar with user testing obviously will know, well, that's a pretty good task. And for everyone who is maybe not so familiar with the things that I explained a little bit earlier, I hope you can see how this actually works. This is exactly this part that I mentioned earlier, where you want to get people into this right frame of mind. And that's what this AI tool is actually doing. The most important thing it is doing. So it creates this scenario. Then let's zoom in a little bit because I want to show you the whole test it has created now. And it lasts about 10 seconds. You will see it a little bit later in this webinar, how quick it is. So what you usually do after one of these tasks where here it says, like, please explore the site, is what we usually add is afterwards, well, how difficult or easy did you find the information that you needed, or how difficult and easy was this task to achieve? And then people can give a rating. We say, well, very difficult, very easy. Scroll down, and there's another task. So again, with the same style, it's actually doing, now imagine you need to schedule a meeting with colleagues in New York, London, and Tokyo. The meeting should be at a time that is convenient for all participants. Try to use the site to find a suitable time for this meeting. Then it gives some additional information. You have completed this task. Once you find time that works on all 3 locations, please remember to think out loud as you're going through this task. So again, you can see it creates just a very, very realistic situation, something that people can easily imagine and where they know, well, that's what I want to do. So instead of just telling you, well, click through our time buddy and tell us how to improve the usability, or maybe just compare 3 times with each other, whatever, you give this realistic story. Again, we can ask a follow-up question, which is what I mentioned earlier. The rest just follows. You just ask any kind of follow-up question you want to ask. This is the style we're doing it usually. And then here we do a third part where we say, well, imagine you're planning a trip. You need to know the current time in multiple cities. Try to use the site to find the current time in Sydney, Berlin, and San Francisco. Again, how difficult, easy was it? And then we go through the rest of it, which is usually very similar in the kind of tests that we like to do, which are these, let's say, 10, 15-minute tests to 20 minutes max. We don't want longer unmoderated tests because it's just the attention of testers just drops off. too much. So we asked him follow-up questions like, well, is there something you would change in this site? How would you rate your overall experience with this website? How likely are you to recommend this site to someone else? Anything else you'd like to say? Again, writing keywords is enough. So this is the basic test. This is what the AI creates, just based on you providing a bit of a description of what it actually is that you want to be testing. And what's important to add maybe here is, you can see it on the bottom of the screen. Of course, you can add your own tasks. So if you're an expert looking at this, it's like, well, you're obviously not forced to use this. You can change anything. You can delete bits and pieces, and you can add your own stuff. Okay, so let's scroll back up again. What it does automatically, our AI, all the time, because it's something where we thought, well, it's so useful, let's include it by default, is something called a homepage tour. That's at least the term I know from Steve Krug, writing in his book about it, where before you even give people the scenario where they know what the situation is and they can actually go through the site, you usually just show them the site or the app or whatever and say, well, what do you think this is all about? So you get some first impressions from people. Again, sometimes there are tests, where you don't want to do that. You want to see people's initial, seeing the page for the first time, being in the scenario already. And then, of course, you just delete this homepage tour. But if you're in doubt, or if you're just starting to test, it's usually just good, just include it, At least in my experiences, you get some good insights, and it's not difficult. Obviously, in this case, it's not difficult at all, because so far all you did was copy pasting a description and pressing a button. But anyway, that's that bit. So we scroll down again the whole page, and once we're done, we're happy with the task, with the scenario, which experts of course can change, and beginners say, well, I don't know what this is about anyway, so let's get some testers now. So the way this works is, customers will be familiar with it. For everyone else, this is the order window you get when you say you want to have some testers, and you can set up a few things here, like choose the device type you want to test on, get people from certain countries, age ranges, gender, or add your own screening questions to basically, get the exact target audience you want to test with. So that's that screen. Then here in this case, just say, well, I don't really care too much about it. I continue. It's the next screen where you just say how many testers you want to have. In this case, I'm just going for one tester, and then that's it. So the test has been created. We have these tasks and scenario in place. Now we're waiting for a tester. I'm just going to show you quickly, and it's going to be a live demonstration of this later. I just need to, a little bit of theory in the beginning, and I need to show you this, how it works, so later the live demo makes more sense, hopefully. And yes, so you can wait for a tester, and then I'm just showing this. You will see once someone starts testing, you can see that they're recording. Once they're done, you can see that the video is uploading. So I don't know, I just wanted to show this because I really love the screen, and ever since we have it like this, because it's almost exciting to look at it and see, how far people are. But the video is processing, it's in review, which is some kind of, background check whether the video is the quality is all right and everything. But it's usually it's all automated. It goes very quickly, and then the video is here. And you can see in this case it was Natalie from Great Britain, and she did the test on a tablet, and actually there are already 16 findings there, which are, if you click on the video, as you can see, these AI findings. And this is the part where I want to tell you, well, how do we go to the insights now? So we created the test very quickly after explaining to you that the scenario is so important, but how do we get the insights? And the way it works is that the AI is creating this here. It's doing it based on the transcript, based on the task description, and based on, any kind of information that the test has entered throughout the test. So, and then it finds these, it makes these notes, and it tags the notes, like user confusion, user behavior, positive feedback, and so on and so forth. So I'm just showing it very quickly. Then I close this view again, and we go into this other view where we are actually in the test, and go on the very first tab, which is called AI Insights. Here, the first thing, well, let's zoom in a little bit. The first thing you can actually see is a bit of a summary created by the AI, where it says, well, what is this test even about? So you know where you are, and everyone in your team knows, well, so that's what we're trying to find out. And then, I guess all of us have learned this. You always want to start with positive feedback, so people are more receptive of some negative feedback. So in this case also, we have some positive things that were found after one tester. Obviously, one tester is not too much, but still, I want to show you the page so you get a feeling for how this works. Everyone who's been in the last webinar will know about this already, but I need to show it to everyone now so you can kind of see how all of this works. There's some user confusion. We'll come back to that in a minute. Some negative feedback, some general observations, which is user behavior tag, and suggestion from this first tester. So let's go back to the user confusion, zooming out again here. And because that's potentially always interesting. Some people are confused, or when you find any problems, that's usually what you want to find in usability tests most of the time. I mean, there's some people who say, well, I just want to test our thing to show everyone how good it is, which is all right, I guess, but usually you want to find the problems. In this case, let's have a look at this user confusion thing here, uncertainty about the purpose of the calendar of the page. And then you can see, okay, the first thing she noticed was the calendar, but she was not too sure what it refers to, which were her own words. And she was not even sure what this page is for or what this option is for. Okay, so that's interesting. That's not really an insight already. But it's an observation, it's something that a finding. So what you can do now is directly here, you just hover over it, or you move your mouse and then you click it and you go into this exact part in the screen. What's interesting here, you can see it is very early in the test. So this is actually a finding that was found during this homepage tour, which again, if in doubt, just keep it in. You don't want to have it, just delete it. So what we can see is she sees this page. She hasn't had the scenario yet, so she doesn't really know what it's about. She just sees the page, and that causes some confusion to her. So this might not be a problem if people, looking for time converting tool on Google or whatever, they probably won't be confused, but it's interesting to know it still. And it might be something, you want to share with someone in your team. So what you can do is you can just go on this note and click this little pen icon, and you can have a look at it. You might want to make a better description of it if you want to change it, or just leave it like this. And you can actually turn it into a clip, which means if you turn it into a clip, it doesn't only have this, it's not just annotated, it's actually a beginning and end time, and you can share it with someone in your team. There's actually something we're working on at the moment that the AI will create clips automatically. So that's probably out very soon. But in the meantime, you can just look at the important ones, turn them into clips, look at it, play the video, and whenever the time is right, we say, well, that's the clip actually. You can click this end link here, set the end time, and then the clip is done. Everyone who was here 2 webinars ago will know about this feature. It's also fairly new. Anyway, so then there's the clip, and the clip you can share, and that's how it looks like. You can see the description again, and here what's interesting maybe to some of you is you can of course restrict the access, which means only people invited to your Userbrain account can see it, or you can also open it up to anyone, which is usually what I do very often with when testing Userbrain things, because firstly, I don't think Userbrain is such a secretive thing. We don't have any NDAs in place where we tie ourselves to not be able to talk openly about it. So in our case, it's usually safe to set this to anyone. And my experience is just like, even if people are invited to your account, they don't have the password, they don't know which email, whatever, it's confusing. So if you really want to open it up and make people access your information, this is a nice option if you can, if the circumstances allow. And then if you preview this in a new tab, I just want to show you that's the clip view. So that's basically what you would share with another person. They only have this 40 seconds. They have the description that you either took from the eye or changed it however you want it. And if they are in your account, they have on the bottom right, this watch the entire video, which is the idea to get them into, actually observing everything and get people involved. I don't know if everyone's going to do that. Some people might say, well, I'm a developer, I just need this, and that's all right as well. So we obviously want to cater both people. Okay, so that's how the sharing works. And I also need to show you this just to give you the whole picture how all of it works. Okay, but that's not really actionable insights yet. We only had 1 tester. So what we do now is we just order 2 more testers. So we get a little bit more information. It's usually just, and I think it's a good practice to just always start with 1 tester, because my experience is also like you start a test and you usually have something wrong. The URL is not working, or there's a typo somewhere, whatever. So I always do it like this: do one tester and then a couple more testers. Here we can see, so it's Ibrahim and it's Jody, and they're already recording. So that's good. We continue, and then we see the first video is done already. There are 11 notes already noted. So we go on this AI Insights tab. And again, scroll down a little bit, and we can look at this page. And what I saw from this tester here is actually there's something that the AI thinks is a usability issue. So obviously, I'm going to look at this. There's difficulty finding the current time in multiple cities due to a widget showing only one city at a time. It doesn't really say much to me. I need to look at it into more detail, and I actually looked at this problem earlier before the webinar started, because I just did this today, kind of proving to myself how fast it is. And I saw that, well, there is a problem, but the tester got a little bit unlucky there, and I'm not sure if it's really a problem. So it's something where I'd say, well, let's keep observing this. Let's see if other people are experiencing the same issue. So it's all right for now. Then we can see the next thing, Jody is done already. So we go to AI Insights. We can see here that 3 testers have completed it already. If you look at this test overview tab with number 3, and then again, we're going to zoom in a little bit. Scroll down the page, we can see some positive feedback. Actually, 3 people already, 3 out of 3 said the site was described as a comprehensive tool for time conversion and meeting scheduling, which is what it is. So that's really good feedback. We scroll further down, the usability issue that we talked about. Then there's user confusion, and you can see there's usually, we show the 3 top findings per category. In this case, so top findings means like the more testers something had some experience, or the more testers are having the same issue or have said the same thing, they will be first in this position. If it's only 1 tester each, then, well, there's no real hierarchy, but still we only show 3. But you can click this show more link on the bottom of the page, and then you see all 5 of them. And you can see, well, that people are confused about certain things. But again, it's like, well, we have 3 testers so far. There's a lot of things happening. Let's see. There's no pattern emerging yet. So we scroll further down. You can see there's some negative feedback. There's some, other observations. We scroll down, and that's always an interesting thing. Also, some suggestions, things that people were mentioning and saying like, well, that's something we might want to improve on the page. In this case, we can see actually 3 people are suggesting to improve some visual elements for better usability and appeal. Interesting. So you can click on it, and then you can see again the people, you can see what they said, see the time when it was said, and all of this. Again, you can obviously edit all of this, you can share it. For example, in this case, this might be something, if you like a user researcher, or whoever you are in your team, where you say, well, maybe I want to send this to our UI designer, so he or she can have a look at this and see if there's actually some improvements here, or you yourself want to dive in more deeply into this and find out if there's actually something to be improved, or whether it's taste, or and so on and so forth. So that's how it works in general. The AI will find all these things, it will categorize everything for you, and then it's you, the human with the knowledge, who comes in and actually judges those things and says, like, that's really important, so I want to share this with my team. Like the thing before, where we said, like, people who their first impression might be a little bit off, so maybe you want to share this with, I don't know, the product manager, that might be interesting to him. Or here in this case, there's some visual things, something you might want to share with your graphic designer, whatever. That's basically how this works. Okay, then what we did actually was we ordered a couple more testers. As you know, like 5 testers is this magical number, which is, usually makes sense, especially if you restrict yourself to 1 device. But anyway, so we ordered a few more testers. And while we're doing this and waiting for these testers, I want to show you a few more examples. I know, don't worry, I know this is a little bit fake right now, because none of this is live in that sense. I'm just showing you a few screens, but the live part is actually going to happen very soon. So bear with me just a couple more minutes. So what I want to do now is show you just a few more examples so you can see. So you should supposedly know the whole process now. You can go into Userbrain, you can decide what kind of thing you want to test. Then you can either create your own test or whatever, or what I'm showing you in this part, just use this auto create function. It will create the whole test for you. Again, if you remember anatomy of user test, the scenario, that's the backbone. That's what the real focus is on. Then you can add all sorts of questions you want to add, change it in whichever way you want to do. Just order the testers. They will come in. The AI would auto-analyze everything and will populate your AI Insights tab. And you can from there, pick the information that you need and either forward it to your team or present the whole thing in a meeting, or even download clips and include it in a keynote presentation, if whatever fits your own working style. So now I want to show you just a few more examples of how this autocreate works. So you click on website here, and then in this case, for example, we have an online store for art, t-shirts, other apparel created by a global community of independent designers. Let's see what happens. It spits out something where I said, imagine you're looking for a unique t-shirt design to gift a friend who loves quirky and artistic designs. You want to find something that stands out and is created by an independent artist. Please explore the site, So you can see that's how it works. And again, the premise is, if you get this right in your user test, the rest will just follow. Because I'm saying this because back in the days, even before Userbrain, we were working with agencies quite a lot, and not just agencies, but other clients as well who wanted to do user testing. And we were the user testing experts making these tests for them. And usually people want to include some questions that are not really part of a user test, where they want to ask things where you kind of scratch your head, like, really, how should we ask that? But our experience basically was, well, if we get the scenario right, if we start off the right foot, we can include all sorts of questions later down. That really matter too much. Just make sure it's unbiased and non-leading if you can. And if you can't, well, just include it. So, whichever stakeholder wanted to include the question will be happy, and your testers will not be thrown off or confused by it. And so everyone's basically winning in this whole thing. So again, you just adjust it as needed. Then another example, in this case, it's an online booking thing for backpackers. These descriptions, by the way, I didn't really try very hard. I just went on the websites and I went on, show title, what is it called? Like the inspection thing where you look at the code, and I copy and pasted the description tag, put it back in here. Obviously, if that's your own site you want to test, you can be a little bit more detailed, or, add some specific things about it that you would like to, like the AI to prioritize in the scenario. So for example, if you have a website with different target audiences, you probably won't add in the description all the target audiences, but really just focus on this one target audience that you really want to include in this test. Okay, so what does it do in this case? Imagine you're planning a backpacking trip across Europe. You need to find an affordable place to stay, various cities. You want to book accommodations. So again, you can see it does the scenario and it creates this beautiful test, by the way, actually, as I think. And then, as I said the word beautiful, there's actually build beautiful interactive forms, get more responses. This is here, I'm testing typeform.com. And again, I just copy and paste the description in here. Didn't really try very hard. And what did the AI do then? It says, imagine you're organizing an event and need to get RSVPs from attendees. You want to create an engaging and interactive form to collect this information. Please explore the site, and it even includes some information about you using this temp mail thing, with throwaway email in case, you needed to create an account there. And so you don't have to use your own email because sometimes it's really not necessary. Again, you can change this, you can adjust it whichever way you like. Then another example here for an app, a mindfulness meditation app that provides guided meditation sessions, Imagine you have been feeling stressed lately and you are looking for ways to relax and improve your mental well-being. You've heard about an app that offers various relaxation techniques, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go a little bit quicker now, so we're not wasting too much time. There's another example of a prototype that might be interesting to a few people of you. At least that's the main thing that I'm testing, which is prototypes, stuff I'm building on currently. In this case, we described the prototype a little bit. It's a pricing page with this and that for where people can start a free trial. And it does the first task creates. Imagine you're considering subscribing to a new streaming service. You want to compare different plans to see which one fits your needs the best. Please explore this page to find out more about the different subscription options available. Remember, there's a prototype, so some features might not be fully functional yet. Please think out loud as you go through this task. So you can see it knows it's a prototype. It includes this information. Well, because usually with prototypes, this issue, not everything's really working. So this information is here, and then it just creates this. And then in this case, I know it because I looked at the example earlier. If you scroll down, the next task, for example, it includes then, well, now describe the benefits of the premium package, because I said in the description there's a premium package. And then the next task is actually, well, now try to create or try to watch it for free, which is basically create this free trial. So you can see it actually tries to take your description and make it into a coherent test. So now I'm gonna close this quickly, because what I'd like to do now is, if any one of you has anything that you'd like to test, and I actually should have said that a minute ago already, so you had some time to put it in, but I'm saying it now. If you have a URL that you would like to test that we can do now live, please just paste it in the chat, whatever it is you want to test. And then we can just try and see if we can get this to work here, and you can get some actual live example. Okay. Okay. I can see there's a few questions here or a few comments here. I will look at them until someone adds a URL. There is actually a URL. We just built a new map proposal in the network. And so I'm gonna click this URL now. If I can, sorry, I have a bit issues here. So yes, is it a prototype or is it a website? I guess it's a working thing. So I use website here. I enter the URL. Let's call it a webinar test. And we go down here. Oh, sorry. Do you even see my screen?
Yes, we can see the screen. It's a working website live in production, ready for iterations.
Perfect. The distance to and from the concourse. I can't really see it. Okay, so I go to auto create with AI now. And then we need some description of what this actually is about. So I wait if there's a message coming. And meanwhile, I could just open it in a new tab. And so we are all familiar. We can all see it. I click block here if you don't mind. I usually always click block here. Put this away so you get some live user testing now. Anyway, let's see if we have some kind of information that you can use here. Or maybe you have already. And Paula, can you maybe mute yourself? Thank you. There's some background noise. So, because I need some information that I can put in here. So travel info, what I'm gonna do is what I usually do. I just click on, I tried the right mouse click and it didn't work. So I don't know how else to get into the, no, I go here, view page source. That's how I usually do it. I just, and then I search for description. It seems like there is no description here. Okay. So Jesse, can you maybe give us a little bit of a description that we can use for the live creation of this test? Or maybe I just do, yes, a new map for the Portland International Airport. Okay, I can see you typing already. In the meanwhile, I just put this in here so we have something is better than nothing. Jesse's typing, so let's wait for a second. Let's see. So you've already seen probably in the last couple of minutes why I prepared some slides, because there's always some technical issues. Please use and familiarize yourself with new shops and restaurants. Has opened our new main PDX International has opened our new main terminal. I'm not sure what that means. Please use this map to familiarize yourself with new shops and restaurants. Okay, what I can see here, and that's actually good learning for us already. What we really want to have inside here is just a description of what it is. It's not even meant to be written as a, something that you would use in a user test where you say, please use this map or whatever, but just say it is a map of this and that. So you know what? I'm just going to use this now. A new map for the Portland International Airport, and I just see what happens. It looks like the website is offline. Okay. That's interesting. So let's have a look now. It's actually working, but maybe it's something to do with this here. That's not good. So the thing is, we have a URL checker in there, which tries to catch websites that are offline. So people don't start tests on websites that are offline, so that we don't have testers getting on this website and then it doesn't work. But it seems like this website checker, for some reason, believes that your site is offline, which is a bit unfortunate. So, it doesn't really work now. So I'm just trying to see if I can make a workaround here. If I do it like this, and then I say save and close, and then because now I can do proceed anyway. I hope this works now. Sorry, this is, of course, what happens in the live test. So it should be all right now. So I go back to autocreate with AI. I still get the error message here. So it might not be working. Yes, it's not working. I'm sorry. So is this a different URL? It's the same URL, I guess, not without the flightpdx.com. Okay, let's try it. No. That's unfortunate. I'm so sorry, Jesse. That's our fault that the URL checker is too restrictive with this. We have X-frame options disabled. Could that be a problem? My technical knowledge is very limited. It might be a problem. Yes, I'm not sure, but I've seen this issue before, and it's always something, something like this, something highly technical that might be, I don't know if it's highly technical, but something that doesn't make it a regular website where I think can actually check it's a URL. You know what I'm trying to do now? Going back here, let's see if this works. Create a new test, not just go for prototype. Maybe it's not as strict here. I don't know. That's wishful thinking, I guess, but let's see. I take this description again that you gave me there. A new map. Yeah, sorry. That did not really solve the issue. So maybe in the meanwhile, if someone else has a website they want to see tested, maybe we can try that. Because Jesse, I'm afraid I won't be able to solve this issue right now. Okay, so sorry, no worries. Thank you actually for pointing out or for helping us find this problem. So I'm going with this beta wellness thing here. That was the first one that came in. Create a website test. Zack. Here, just webinar. And then, okay, so we go down, auto create with AI. Then I'm gonna open this here. I do what I always do, which is not accept all of them. Oh, it's German. So is there an English version just so it works for everyone looking at the webinar? Because the AI will work in German as well, but then it will be hard for everyone to judge whether it is actually German or not. So we try the third option maybe in the meanwhile. So this seems to be an English website that's working for me. So if you don't mind, Ani, I will use Marcus's site for this demonstration. So zack, we go in here. And then I'm just going, sorry, can I open it already? Go here and I go on view page source, search for description because I'm too lazy to ask for it. And I haven't seen if Marcus has sent something. No. So I just use this. Popular is a global architectural design for creating Okay. So it is an architectural design firm. So let's see what it does. Thank God it's working. So you see the first thing it always adds is this homepage to it that we can leave in or just remove, whatever we want. And then it says, imagine you're part of a city council planning to build a new community center that will serve as a hub for local events and activities. You're looking for a design firm that can create a space that brings people together and fosters a sense of community. Please explore the rest of the site to find out more about what it offers and how it could help. Here it says explore the rest of the site because obviously there's this homepage tour at first. But yeah, so that's a scenario we have here. Maybe Marcus, what do you think about it? Would it be something that Populous is offering? Would it be a good realistic scenario, or you're the one who needs to judge this? And then, okay, we continue with this. It says, now imagine you want to see examples of previous projects completed by the firm to get a sense of their style and capabilities. So you can see at first there's a homepage tour, then there's this hopefully realistic scenario. Let's see what Marcus says about it, where someone is part of a city council and they're planning to build a new community center, and they're looking for someone, for a design firm to actually create that space. Yes, so that's the whole thing. I'm a bit time conscious, so I'm scrolling through this quickly now. And what I'm going to do just is click on Get Testers, and I say, well, I think any device is fine, or is it only, just to be sure, I just go on computers, and then just try one tester for now, because I want you to see the whole process. You can see we're waiting for the tester, and now I see Marcus is typing as well, so he can either confirm that it was a good scenario or maybe tell us, well, there's something we should have changed about it. Let's see what he says. In the meanwhile, we're waiting for one tester. There should be a tester coming relatively quickly. Let's see. The thing is, what we have at Userbrain here is, if you have a Userbrain account, you won't get the same tester again, I think, for a year. Okay, so Ian is starting now, so there is already a tester. And so if you have a fresh account, a new account starting, you're obviously getting testers much quicker because the whole pool is available to you. If you're testing a lot, some testers will obviously have to wait for another year to be able to test with you again. And as you can imagine, I've used this account extensively already to prepare for the webinars and did a lot of testing with it. But, well, it didn't take too long for Ian to start the test anyway. So you've seen now how this works in real life. If anyone has a URL, by the way, in the meantime, just keep putting them in there. We can try them in the background. I just keep this open because I really just wanted to show you, how the order works, how quick we can get someone to test, and then the rest you would have seen in the slides, where once he's done, there will be AI notes. The AI Insights page will be populated, and you can start looking at the things in detail or sharing them with your team. That's basically how it works. And what I'm just going to do now quickly is, I know it's only going to be meaningful for German speakers or to judge, but I'm just going to show you this quickly. So you can see it's also working in different languages. Create a new test. It is this beta wellness. It's also a webinar test. And then we just change this to German. We say auto create with AI. And I'm going to go on this page, say view page source. Again, usually the description would obviously be from the team, and it would be more fine-tuned to what you actually want to achieve in the test, but this is good enough for what we're doing here. So what it says is it's for, you can buy whirlpools and swim spas and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to create some tasks now, and then you will see it gives you a German homepage tour. Everyone's not German speaking, I'm sorry, but you can see how it works at least. You can see that it works in different languages. It also works in Spanish. And then it does this here, which basically says, imagine you want to have a new, relaxing area in your home. And you've heard from a friend that this page has a good selection of products for private spa stuff. Anyway, have a look at this page and try to find out what products they are offering. I guess it's a pretty good scenario for what they're selling as far as I'm understanding. Annie, maybe if you have a thought about it, is this something that the situation people would actually be like in real life? I think it doesn't seem too far off. So now imagine you want to learn more about the prices and the different models, try to find out some information about the pricing and try to find at least 3 products and compare them with each other. And while I'm looking at this, I just want to say, well, of course, if you find, well, that's something that's not even possible on our side or on the side we want to test, of course, then you want to interfere and adapt this a little bit and say, well, actually, you can't really compare stuff. So let's not test this. Let's just find stuff. That's how, you can make some edits here. And then you want to contact customer support. It's the next step, and so on and so forth. Okay, so not bad. I like it. Oh, that's good. Marcus Plessing likes it. It's not the easiest side to write a scenario on, but I think that I should give you a head start to work with. And that's a good point. It should give you a head start to work with. That's exactly the last slide I want to show you. I actually see that we don't have a lot of time for Q&A, because that's what I wanted to say. It's basics first. So you start with a solid foundation and you refine it to create something truly exceptional. As you've seen, this, what I just showed you, and I hope it was comprehensible. It was quite a lot actually, but anyway, it should have been clear that everyone can use it. So if you know how to type, you will be able to get results with Userbrain. You don't really need to be an expert. And this is this solid foundation to start with. But if you're really good at this kind of stuff, you can use it and you can build upon it and you can refine it and you can create something really exceptional. So with 4 minutes on the clock, 3.5 actually only, I want to open up this poll where you can just tell us very quickly what you think about this feature. What do you think about this autocreate? Do you think it's useful? Is it something you'd like to use yourself? And yes, that is it. In the meantime, I'm just going to show you this quickly. The World Time Buddy has its 5 results coming in. Just very quickly, positive feedback. See, all 5 testers thought that is really good. And I thought, well, that's maybe sometimes you don't find a lot of problems, you find positive feedback, but that would be something you want to share with your team to boost morale, or maybe something you want to share with an investor to show them how good everything is. Then there's a few other things I wanted to mention, which I'm just going to skip now. And that's the Q&A. And we're not having a lot of time. I'm very sorry that this took so long and we had some technical issues, but yes, that's it. How many users are recommended for testing? Well, I always start with 1. And then if it works, I add a couple of more. And then if I have 3 users, Steve Krug, he's a bit of a hero of mine in this field. He says 1 test a month is enough and do 3 users. And so I think like 3 users is enough to show you some indication. And then I usually keep adding. So go up to 5 users. Then I have a look, well, maybe we're a bit underrepresented in this age group or whatever. So do a few people from here. Then I end up with 8 users maybe, but as I go. But you usually don't want to do much more than, let's say, 10, 15 users, unless, of course, you say, well, budget is not an issue in this case. And we want to have some quantitative data too, because that's also part here in Userbrain. You actually, I'm not going to show you this now, where you have a report where you can see some statistics also. But I'd say this rule of 5 users is a really good one. So if you don't know anything else, or there's nothing else indicating anything other than that, I think 5 is usually good. But again, I start with 1, then add up to 3. I'm talking so much. This is great. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Super helpful. I'm excited to get going with it. Awesome. I like the feature, auto prompt feature. It would be awesome if it could be combined with some kind of crawler. Yes, we were thinking about this actually. Exactly. So that you just enter the URL and does all the other, you don't even have to add a description. I just need someone from our technical department to help me understand why my URL doesn't pass the checker. Yeah, and I need to also talk to our team on the technical department if there's something we can do to kind of still create this task, because as you saw, if you create it from scratch, you can actually test it. You can click this link, proceed anyway, but it's a feature that we obviously haven't yet implemented for creating AI tasks. So if your technical person finds a solution to it, awesome. And otherwise, or not otherwise, but in the meanwhile, we will also have a look at it and see if we can solve this issue for future tests so it doesn't happen again. Okay, it's 17:59, so we have a few seconds to go. I hope I addressed everything. It was very jam-packed and we did it just under 1 hour. So actually, I hope the promise was kind of fulfilled. And yeah, thank you everyone a lot for joining, and yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stefan. And I published a poll in case you didn't answer it yet. It would be super cool if you would rate our new auto-create feature. Yeah, thank you everyone so much for taking part. And of course, if you have any more questions, feel free to contact us anytime via support. Yeah, and super interesting. And it was under 1 hour indeed, Stefan.
And I hope I got across everything that we were planning. But I think it was a pretty jam-packed presentation. There's a lot of stuff in it. So for everyone, please feel free to reach out to us anytime on social media or send an email or whatever. You'll find a lot of places to contact us everywhere. And I guess because I just see the thing popping up here, go on the website, just start a free trial. You can try all of this yourself. You can work with it, and you get 2 testers for free, which should be enough to give you a little bit of a taste of how it works and something to share with your team. And yeah, it's really just the beginning of it, and we'll see how to further improve it and to make it more accessible and also more powerful in the future. And yeah, I talked enough today. Thank you very, very, very much for coming. And thank you, Paula.
Thank you. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And yeah, hopefully see you in our next event, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.